Thanks. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Maribel Vanderbroek, and I'd like to call the June 28th, 2021 regular council meeting to order and begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Katzie, Kwantlen, Masqui, and Semiahmoo First Nation. And I'd just like to take a moment to send our thoughts out to the Cowessess First Nation and Indigenous people following the announcement of the finding of 751 unmarked graves on the grounds of the former Mariel Indian Residential School in Saskatchewan. So our thoughts and prayers are with them and Kamloops at this time and everybody affected by it. So for any members of the public who are in attendance to watch these proceedings, welcome. And just a reminder to keep your mics and your cameras turned off while we are in attendance. So with me today, I have fellow council members, Councillor Paul Albrecht, Councillor Terry James, Councillor Gail Martin, Councillor Nathan Pahal, Councillor Rudy Storterboom, and Councillor Rosemary Wallace. For staff, we have Francis Chung, our Chief Administrative Officer, Darren Light, our Director of Corporate Services, Carl Johansson, our Director of Development Services, Rick Baumhoff, our Director of Engineering, Parks and Environment, Kim Hilton, our Director of Recreation, Culture and Community Services, Kelly Kenny, our Corporate Officer, and I believe we have Paula Cusack joining us as Deputy Corporate Officer later on this evening. And am I missing everybody? Good. Okay, so on to the adoption of the June 28th, 2021 regular agenda. Before we consider the adoption of the agenda, are there any changes or additions to the agenda? Seeing none, motion that the June 28th, 2021 agenda be adopted as circulated. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Wallace, Councillor James, all those in favor, carries. Okay, so a committee of the whole meeting provides council the opportunity to hear input from the public and allows council a greater opportunity to speak to and debate specific agenda items. Motion is that council commence the committee of the whole. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Pahal, Councillor Storterboom, all those in favor, carries. All right, so first step, we have the 2020 annual report, and I believe Mr. Chung is going to speak to the 2020 annual report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. I'm pleased to present the 2020 annual report, which provides a progress report of the performance of the city with respect to established objectives and measures from 2020. The approval of the annual report by City Council is a requirement in adherence with Section 98 and 99 of the Community Charter. The COVID-19 pandemic had impacted all of our lives, and certainly with our municipal operation and services in 2020. We had to alter our plans where needed and necessary, but we were able to maintain our focus and achieve the desired goals and objectives. We could not have done this without the support of our community, City Council, and most importantly, our staff. We have developed resiliency and dealt with the challenges that we had to face during the pandemic. We're looking forward to getting back to normalcy in the weeks and months to come and building a stronger and adaptable community moving forward. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chung. Ms. Kenny, can you advise whether there was any correspondence received regarding the 2020 annual report?
No correspondence received, Madam Mayor.
Okay, great. And is there anybody in attendance at this meeting who would like to speak regarding the annual report? If do so, please raise your hand. And I don't believe we have anyone. And does council have any questions or comments for Mr. Chung? Seeing none. Before I put the motion, motion is that council, that committee of the whole rise and report. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Storterboom. Councillor James, great. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chung and your staff for putting all this together, all working hard together. We got it accomplished and Great report. So any other comments or anything before we move on? Okay, call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? And the annual report carries. Thank you all very much for your work on that. I know it's been a difficult year with COVID. Okay, moving on, adoption of the minutes, regular meeting minutes from June 14, 2021, that the minutes of the regular meeting held on June 14, 2021 be adopted as circulated. We're in a seconder. Councillor Sturdivant, Councillor Wallace, any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carries. Public meeting hearing minutes from June 14, 2021, that the minutes of the public hearing held on June 14, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Any corrections on that? Mover and a seconder. Councillor Sturdivant, Councillor Wallace, all those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Business arising from Committee of the Whole, 2020 annual report, that the 2020 annual report be approved. Mover and a seconder. Councillor Albrecht, Councillor Sturdivant, any further discussion? Councillor Albrecht, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I just wanted to thank staff. It's an outstanding report and really sets a path and a direction for us moving forward, as well as covering all things that we've accomplished. So well done. It makes me proud to be on council when we put out such professional work as this. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Councillor Sturdivant.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you to Mr. Chung and the whole team. Again, a tremendous report, especially in light of the situation that you've had to work with. I'm always impressed by the work that staff does, but this year it's been especially difficult. And I want to express my sincere gratitude for everyone in the management team, administration, and exceptional work. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the effort. You didn't drop the ball. You did great all year long. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, great. Call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Okay, Mayor's report, upcoming meetings. Next regular council meeting is July 12, 2021. And the following regular council meeting after that will be July 26, 2021. And we now have a recreation update with Kim Hilton, our Director of Recreation, Culture, and Community Services.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council and our viewing audience. Update for June, looking into July, of course, for Recreation, Culture, and Community Services. Everyone will be happy that the Al Anderson Pool is open again. And we do have lessons starting next week. Public swims are ongoing, length swimming and aquafit. We are hopeful that we might be able to expand some of the numbers that we can see in the pool after we move into step 3. So we will keep everyone posted and put information out if that is the case. Summer day camps next week. Most elementary schools finish this week, and people are looking for opportunities to look after, have their children entertained for the summer. So the summer day camps at Douglas Recreation Center in our park are a great opportunity for this. And their camps are week-long camps. They run 8:30 to 3. We do have before and after care, which is what we call extended play, available as well. So if you're interested in registering for a camp, they are very popular. We were able to expand some of the numbers after step 2 of our opening. So if you're interested, please phone 604-514-2940 or look online at langleycity.ca under recreation. And just a reminder that we are providing healthy living bags. I believe you can still get your bag for July. The cutoff will be Wednesday this week because of the staff holiday. It'll be delivered next Tuesday, but we do have upcoming dates as well. It's August 3rd, September 7th, October 5th, and November 2. It's very affordable. It's $5 per bag. You order ahead of time and you come down to Tim's Community Center to pick up the bag on those days after 11 a.m. So for more information, you can phone 604-514-2940 to register. It's back, pop up and play for the summer. I can't believe it's June 28th already, but the summer is here. We can all feel the heat. So starting next week, we will have staff out in the parks. Bryden Park on Tuesdays from 10 to 1. Douglas Park on Wednesdays from 4 to 7. Rotary Park on Thursdays from 10 to 1. Nicholas Park from 10 to 1 on Fridays, and finally Douglas Park again, Saturdays from 10 to 1. So we'll have staff out there. They'll be running a whole bunch of different activities, games, sports, running craft tables. So please drop by. It's free family fun for the community. So again, that's Pop-Up Play Summer 2021, starting next Tuesday. We were fortunate to receive a grant from Canadian Tire Jumpstart, and we are running a Girls in Sport multi-sport camp for any females identifying as a female, or any people identifying as a female. It's running out of HG Stafford Middle School. It does start next Monday. It runs Monday to Friday from 9 to 3. We're seeing a great uptake in this program, which is excellent. They are week-long camps, and the cost for the week is $25, but if you need financial assistance, we do have that available as well. So again, to register, you can phone 604-514-2940. Some registered youth programs coming up for the summer. We have a leadership program. We've broken into 2 different categories, a grades 6 to 8 on Tuesdays and grades 9 to 12 on Thursdays. And then we also have some money matters, and there's a session 1 running July 15th to August 5th, and then session 2, August 12th to the 2nd. And there is a fee for both of those, but if you're interested, please phone 604-514-2940. Summer drop-in programs continue here at Tim's Community Center. So drop-in basketball, very popular Tuesdays, 2 to 4. Open gym Fridays. I see a lot of volleyball happening there right now. A lot of fun activity from 2 to 4. Art in the Park Wednesday. So this will be opening up a little bit different for the summer out at Douglas Park. Our youth lounge Fridays 5 to 7. Teen time Thursdays here at Tim's, and again youth night on Saturdays. So there's lots of activities for the youth to do in our community this summer. Gentle Cycle. Now that we can have high intensity classes again, we are offering a Gentle Cycle starting on Monday. So actually, no, it starts this week. Small group fitness classes, and it's 8:30 to 9 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. To register, you can phone 604-514-2940. And again, we do need to register a minimum of 2 hours in advance. It is all pre-registration. There's no drop-in at this point in our former sense, but the classes are filling. So if you're interested, please phone 604-514-2940. And then Zumba. I love Zumba. We've had lots of Zumba classes. I have never seen anyone dressed like this in the bright colors, but I think it's something we could start. It looks like a lot of fun. Wednesdays, 7 to 8 p.m. and Saturdays, 9:45 to 10:45. So again, if you want to get out and do some dancing with the Zumba instructors, phone 604-514-2940. And again, all this information is online at langleycity.ca. So really, it's just at your fingertips if you're interested. And then indoor cycling. These are the high intensity classes: spin and stretch, spin and sculpt, Spin Express. So we have 4 different offerings that are running. They'll be upstairs in our multi-purpose room too, to ensure that we can have the required distancing. But we're excited to bring this back because that was a big loss for our community here at Tim's Community Center. Again, you know the number, 604-514-2940, or you can now register online if you have a 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, or annual pass. You don't have to phone, just everything is online, which is great. And that's it from my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Hilton, for that, and staff being fluid with the provincial health orders. So I know it's been trying, but you guys are doing a great job. I have Councillor Albrecht and then Councillor Sturdivant.
Yes, thank you. And I just wanted to express my appreciation for staff and keeping things available as much as we can for residents and our user groups. So I just wanted to make sure that you pass that along to your team. But I was wondering, Ms. Hilton, have you had any trouble hiring staff for the programs and, like the pool and that sort of thing? I keep hearing about other municipalities having difficulty and challenges with hiring people back. But I think that we've done a pretty good job there. If you could just answer that question for me.
Councillor Albrecht through Mayor Val. We haven't had any challenges. We've been fortunate. We have a great core group of lifeguards and instructors, for instance, at Al Anderson Memorial Pool, who do come back year after year. And we have been successful in bringing most, if not all of them, back again, enough to cover what the programming that we have this summer. So that's fantastic. And actually today is the first day I think we brought in 9 or 10 new recreation workers and they're training today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday for the programs that are starting next week. So, and we do feel that that'll be enough staff to cover for the programming. So we've been fortunate.
Yeah, no, that's outstanding. And I know a lot of it has to do with the work environment and the team approach. And I just want to say thank you very much. I think there's going to be a lot of municipalities that are going to have a real troubling and challenging time trying to find the required staff to continue on with their recreation needs. So again, kudos to you and your staff and your team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Sturdivant, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Hilton. Another wonderful report. You and your team amazed me. You've been through such a challenging time with changing protocols and rules and regs. And it's just been amazing how resilient you and your team have been in managing, administrating the different recreational facilities and programs that we have to offer. Thank you very much. It is my understanding that when the time is right, you or someone from your team will be reaching out to our service groups to advise them that the rooms that we rent out to these service groups will be available once again. I'm hoping for something in the near future. And I just wanted to confirm that with you in the event that someone might be watching this broadcast and wondering when their service group can return to meeting in person and what kind of protocols can be expected, please.
Thank you, Councillor Sturdivant through the mayor. Well, we are planning on starting rentals again indoors September 7th. As to the protocols, we are waiting to hear the guidelines that are provided for us. There is going to be a switch, I believe, from the COVID safety plans to a communicable disease safety plan. So we have to review that and see what that's going to look like for the fall. But I'm confident that we'll be back to almost normal activities within our facilities September 7th-ish. And certainly our staff will reach out. We have an individual who does all the bookings, and she'll be reaching out to all our groups and welcome them back. So we do look forward to having everyone back in the facility for sure. And we're also hopeful that tomorrow we'll find out we don't have to wear masks in our fitness classes anymore, because that is great. Thank you.
Very exciting. Thank you very much for that update. And
we all
thanks
need to
again
get
for the tremendous
vaccinated.
effort. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Sooner we get vaccinated, the sooner we can get back to normal. So whatever normal is. Okay, any other questions or comments for Ms. Hilton? I don't see anything. Thank you. Okay, Discover Langley City Report with Councillor Albrecht is up next. Did you have?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I know the report's in your package, your agenda package, but there's a couple items here that I just really wanted to highlight. And did you know that 1 in every 10 Canadian jobs is tied to tourism? This has left many people in economic struggle as a result of the pandemic regulations. Prior to COVID-19, tourism in Canada was a 150 billion sector, accounted for 2% of Canada's GDP, and employed 1.8 million workers. That's why it's so important to pledge to support tourism in Canada, and that has been created. It's an invitation to come together as a country to support our local tourism destination, businesses, and employees. So if you're interested in helping the industry recover, you are encouraged to consider planning your long-awaited vacation in BC this year. As far as marketing, originating in 2010, Just Here for the Beer is Canada's longest running dedicated and continuous beer program on commercial airwaves. The broadcast airs bi-weekly on Vancouver Sports Authority, Sportsnet AM 650, hosted by longtime broadcaster, writer Joe Leary and beer expert Rick Mohabar. The show is a podcast online and available through the various Sportsnet mobile and streaming devices. So for the DLC is pleased to report that on July 27th, they're going to be sponsoring the podcast Just Here for Beer, and it'll be featuring Farm Country Brewing and other Langley breweries. The podcast has been asked to tell the listeners how awesome Langley City is, and it's something to look forward to and an opportunity to raise the awareness of our community and what we have to offer. They also had a photo contest, and we actually had 84 photo submissions total in the following social media stats on the program. Showed 986 likes, 134 comments, 86 shares, and 15 saves. That's 84 photos submitted in for the contest. That's pretty impressive. As a lot of people know, there's a game that's out right now. It's called Langopoly, and it's available for purchase. The DLC had a prize package, was being given away every week. And the contests were immensely popular and continue to keep the DLC front of mind and active while marketing efforts are being restricted. We've got our consumer newsletters, and we're working on some video productions that will be used to promote Langley City as a destination. The videos will cover off areas such as Langley City, the Sendell Gardens, Penzer Action Park, thrifting, Maker Cube, golfing, mural walk, and Farm Country Brewing. These videos will be officially launched sometime this month, and final edits will be made and available on the DLC YouTube channel very soon, if not already. And that is my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Some great work going on there. Any comments or questions? No, seeing none. All right, well, thank you for that, Mr. Ulbrich. Okay, moving on to bylaws. We've got quite a few to go through here tonight. First one, A, administrative report, new subdivision and development servicing bylaw 2021, number 3126. And I understand our manager of engineering, Mr. Herod Gill, has a presentation for us. Just trying to find him on, there we go.
Madam Mayor and members of Langley City Council, please allow me to share my screen. Okay, I'm going to have a short presentation to summarize what this report and the proposed update is about. First, you may ask why we need updates. As you know, the subdivision and development bylaw regulates works and services that are required during development subdivision of land. Existing bylaw was last time amended in 2008, and since then, development engineering practices have changed. Engineering design and construction methods also have changed. Since then, we have had 2 MMCD updates. For those that are not familiar with MMCD, MMCD is a Master Municipal Construction Document, which actually is a kind of Bible for construction activities in BC. We have had 2 revisions since the last time we updated our bylaw. To lower the risk and the contract cost, this bylaw update was needed. and that could be achieved by being more consistent with other municipalities. And the rationale behind that is that when you require something that other municipalities and communities are requiring as well, contractors are familiar with that. So the risk is lower to them. They know what they need to do. It reduces the cost of the projects. Having said that, many of the proposed changes already are required in here. This is because our old bylaw either was silent or had very vague kind of requirements. So it opened the room for us to expand on those areas and require them to use the most updated standards. The update process started with reviewing the neighboring municipalities, the bylaws in neighboring municipalities and their engineering standards. Also, we reviewed the latest MMCD guidelines for compliance and comparison. With all this information in hand, we actually discussed our findings with each department within the city to take advantage from their local experience and preferences and compile them all together to come up with the proposed update. Our project team consisted of fire department, development services department, engineering, parks, and environment department. For the updates, we separated subdivision and development regulation from the engineering design standards and made it two separate documents. The subdivision and development servicing bylaw now its number is 3126. And the design criteria manual right now, what it is about it is beyond just the subdivision of land. It can and will apply to every type of projects, construction, engineering projects. And it provides flexibility to reflect site constraints. The proposed update also incorporated pavement cut policy that we have as a requirement within the design criteria manual. It also brought in water, traffic signal, and street light specifications that were standalone documents. Now all are combined and compiled in one document. The new design criteria manual adopts, as I said, the latest MMCD guidelines and standards. It clarifies both the bylaw and the design criteria, clarifies the current ambiguities that we have in some sections of our current bylaw by explaining explicitly what the requirements are. And it also adopted the best practices as standard to improve asset life. The major objectives that we had during the update process was almost increasing the responsible development opportunities by requiring construction and design method that are simple to maintain and operate over the lifetime of the asset. Reducing impacts on the environment was another criterion we kept in mind. Providing more design options for developers to reflect site constraints was another criterion. Reducing risk for both developer and the city. Also, we wanted to be compatible with today's engineering design standards, MCD, and other local municipalities I mentioned briefly in previous slide. And another philosophy that we had in mind was just to have a one-stop shop to make it easier for developers, consultants to find the information that they need in one document instead of looking at different policies, different standalone documents. The next slide, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the proposed subdivision and development servicing bylaw. And after that, a little bit about the engineering design standards that are now in a separate document. We call it design criteria manual, similar to some other municipalities, including Surrey, Maple Ridge, and others. The proposed subdivision and development servicing bylaw kept all the sections that are applicable, added new requirements such as some requirements for site assessment, recycling, waste management that we didn't have in our current bylaw. Within that bylaw, it requires developers to use the design criteria manual for development activities. So it creates that bond which mandates the developers to follow the design criteria manual. This subdivision bylaw consists of an introduction and 6 schedules. The introduction details development application steps and general requirements. In the Schedule A, it talks about the at a very high level, the engineering services requirements. This is just to give them some high level information to developers. These are the things that the engineering department is going to ask you. So you need to prepare those things when you communicate with them. Schedule B is general requirements for subdivision and development applications like bonding, insurance, conduct of work, maintenance period, that kind of thing. Schedule C is standards for lot grading. Well, we didn't have it in our current bylaw, but it just spells out the details, how to provide the lot grading, how to present it in drawings and submit it. Schedule D is about the forms that the city has. Most of them, of course, are at the city's website, on the city's website. It just gives links to them, name them again. So again, the same philosophy, it wants to show the developers what forms are available, where they are. You need to fill them out at different stages of your application. Schedule E is site information and assessment forms. This will help mainly the staff at the very beginning of their application. It provides some vital information for planning staff to know what issues are there and where are the areas that they have to pay attention during the application process. Schedule F is recycling and waste management requirement. Again, this is a new section, which started by, as the title says, talks about recycling and how to have the waste management similar to what Metro Vancouver is required. The second document, which is a design criteria manual, it's an engineering standards. The guiding principle in developing this manual was one was just to meet today's design standards, and also we wanted this to be based on MMCD, follow the best construction practices. Where possible, we wanted this to be similar to other municipalities for lowering the project costs and the risks. And also, of course, we wanted to keep high quality while trying to keep the construction cost down. So we had to find a best compromise solution between these two competing objectives. The proposed design criteria manual consists of 15 sections. Section 1 is, again, general information. Section 2 talks about, again, at the high level engineering standards. At section 3, we talk about the water distribution system, how to design it. Section 4 is about the rain collection system, which basically is a stormwater or storm storage system design. Section 5 is integrated rainwater-based management practices. This is new mainly. It is about the things that Metro Vancouver was advocating since 2009 with their big document in 2012 onward. And this section uses some sections of the Metro Vancouver's best management practices to reduce the environmental footprint while we do development or have any construction project in the city. Section 6 is the sanitary sewer system design. At Section 7, we talk about the requirements for sanitary pump stations, and this is city-owned. We discourage private sanitary pumps. And in Section 8, we talk about the standards to design roads, streets. Section 9 talks about street lighting, the requirements. In Section 10, we talk about traffic signal design standards. Section 11 talks about the landscaping. We have a very comprehensive, added very comprehensive landscaping requirements to make sure that the trees and any other plants that as a part of our own project or development projects we plan, they survive. Section 12 talks about construction, drawing specifications, what it is. It's just, it says that if you're submitting your drawings, what items you need to have in different sheets. And we're going to look for that. You need to have those in your drawings in certain orders that are outlined in that section. Section 13 actually lists standard forms that consulting engineers and sometimes whoever does project, contractors need to fill out. It basically mandate them to stick to some ethics, follow design criteria manual and all those things in writing and they sign it. Section 14 talks about how to control treated water from source to the destination. And in between when it is going there, we want to make sure that it won't cause pollution in our roads, storm system, water courses. Section 15 talks about the supplementary specification standards. What it is just, these are deviations that we have from MMCD. Every municipalities have some specific requirements that may not 100% match what MMCD is actually suggesting. So this section lists them and with details what things we want that are not in the MMCD. The team from the beginning, like I said, we're very well aware of two potentially competing objectives of keeping the city projects and development costs as low as possible, and also meeting today's design standard. Well, in today's standard, there are, of course, better standards, higher standards is protect the city better, Langley city residents better, and the property owners, the long-term property owners that are going to purchase the property after it's constructed, they're going to enjoy better assets or infrastructure that they inherit. Financial implication of this new design standards, I could say that they're nominal, not really, it's not that actually noticeable. The only thing that I can talk about that it's different from the kind of practice we had in the past is when it comes to dealing with single-family subdivisions, especially at south of Great Crescent. Single-family subdivision now requires Metro Vancouver's integrated rainwater best management practice to be applied. And this is to make sure that on-site runoff is contained successfully. The reason that you see the difference in cost between the requirements for single family between what we have right now and what the new standard is requiring, is that the old bylaw didn't really elaborate what we need. It was a very high level kind of vague language. So it was very open to interpretation, and oftentimes it didn't match the other sections of the same bylaw and the requirements in those sections. Because of that, when we had development applications in the past, the consulting engineers couldn't find enough instructions for their designing their storm storage system or control system. So what they were just doing in places like Great Crescent, where we mainly, it is infiltration based, we don't have a storm sewer pipe network. They needed to install rock pit, and again, there was not enough instruction or standard for them showing how to design it. So they were using other municipalities' bylaws and looking at what they are requiring, and we're applying it in here. The thing is that in those places, rock pits were required in the rural or sometimes suburban areas. So for example, like Maple Ridge, for example. And so they were using those rural or suburban requirements to apply it in here in the city, which obviously is not what we want. I have done a quick cost comparison to give a sense to council what we're talking about. Under the existing subdivision bylaw, we required rock pits. Its cost usually is between $10,000 to $15,000, while the new design criteria does not actually use rock pits. Instead, we use infiltration tank system, which is basically a perforated tank. So it's a tank. The water can be stored, and the efficiency of storing water is almost 100%, as opposed to rock pits that 60% of it is filled with rocks. Amended soil is another item that under the current bylaw we don't require it, but the new, the proposed design criteria manual right now requires having an amended soil, but in South Langley, because the soil is good and its infiltration rate is high, basically is not an issue in here. All they have to do is just to remove the topsoil, put it aside. When their construction is done, put them back. Driveway pavements under the existing bylaw is going to cost them about $8,500, while under the new proposed design criteria manual, it's going to cost them $16,500-ish. And this is based on the real quote I got. It's not just a Class D cost estimate. Bioswale was not required to control road runoff because, I can understand back in 2008, lots were very large, and the road runoff was going toward people's property and was percolating there. Nothing was happening. But as we are densifying, this may not be applicable. The design criteria manual now requires bioswale to capture the road runoff and infiltrate that. The cost tag for that is about between $3,000 to $6,000. Bottom line, when you compare the cost, you see that it's about $15,000, give or take, a difference in cost, which is still not much given the price of houses and when they subdivide and sell it, and the profit that usually a typical developer will have. But instead, the old approach was controlling the runoff for rainfalls up to 5 or 10 years. But right now we can control on-site rainfall runoff due to 100-year runoff, which is a significant improvement. We recharge groundwater is another improvement. And we also, like I said, control road runoff. The single family application outside the South Langley is a bit different under the new OCP. We are going to allow for lots as small as 360 square meters to 600. The existing bylaw didn't, of course, report, like I said, the previous slide, any requirement for amended soil. This one will require in order to encourage infiltration. The price is around $3,000, and driveway pavement under the current bylaw would cost them $7,500, while under the new one is going to be $14,500. And all they needed under the current bylaw was putting a manhole and then connect their on-site runoff to our storm sewer pipe. It would cost them $4,000. Here is more or less the same thing if it is a 360 square meter lot. But as the lot size increases to 600, they need a bigger manhole, so the cost increases to $8,000. So again, when you look at it, it is 14,000-ish difference. Again, not much, but when you look at the difference, we could control up to 5 years of rainfall runoff. Now we can control up to 100-year rainfall runoff. And again, same thing, minimizes overland, recharges groundwater and minimizes or eliminates road overland flows. So we see there are big improvements. Next step for us, if council approves the first and second readings, then for us, the next step would be to post it on our website and also send emails to developers and consulting engineers, informing them of this new design criteria and new development bylaw, and inviting them to review and comment. We're gonna, like I said, advertise also on a local newspaper and social media. The emails to development is already the draft. The draft already is here. We have 70 plus individuals that we are gonna from different development firms and consulting engineering firms that we are going to email them. We are going to give them 2 months to review these documents and send their comments. We review them, summarize them, and when applicable, of course, include them. When we come back to council for the third and fourth reading, we create a summary of those comments for council's attention and what our response to those questions, comments were. We also at the same time give this document to our legal advisors to take a look at it to make sure that from legal point they are sound. This concludes my presentation. I would be happy to answer questions.
Well, thank you so much for that presentation, Mr. Gill. That is a lot of work. So thank you to you and your staff. Councillor Albrecht, I believe. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. And I don't really have any questions, but just a couple of comments. So this was a huge job. It was a large undertaking, and it was long overdue to get the update. I think it's going to be good to hear from our stakeholders, our partners in the building industry, development industry, and the consultant industry to find their feedback. I know it's important to develop a consistent approach with clear expectations and some certainty for the industry so that they know what they're going to be up against when they come into our community. So I want to thank you for all that. And most importantly, as a co-chair of the Environment Committee, it's just so good to see the climate change strategies and recognizing the importance of our environment and trying to implement some measures that will take all that into consideration as we move forward as a community. So again, I just wanted to thank you for all your work, Mr. Gill.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Sturtevant.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Gill, to you and your team for the tremendous effort you put in with months of work on this to update us in a very timely fashion, in keeping with the other programs and plans and strategies we have moving forward to keep us in line with current best practices, community standards and preferences, accepted engineering guidelines, and ongoing legislative requirements. Not an easy thing to balance all of this and bring it forward and do it in such a comprehensive and yet concise fashion. So my great compliments to you and the team. Thank you very much for the tremendous effort you put in and well presented too, I might add. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, any other comments for Mr. Gill or questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Gill. Appreciate that. All right, motion is that the report of the Manager of Engineering Services dated June 28th, 2021 regarding new subdivision and development servicing bylaw 2021 number 3126 be received for information. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Bahal, Councillor Sturtevant. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. All right, bylaw 3126, subdivision and development servicing bylaw, first and second reading of a bylaw to establish the standard of works and services to be provided for the subdivision development of lands. That the bylaw cited as City of Langley subdivision and development servicing bylaw 2020 number 3126 be read a first and second time. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sturtevant. To Councillor Albrecht. Any further discussion on that or any questions? Call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carries. Bylaw 3173, zoning amendment number 176, RZ04-21, and development permit number DP05-21. First and second reading of a bylaw to rezone the properties located at 19665 and 19669 55A Avenue from the RS1 single family residential zone to the CD 75 comprehensive development zone to accommodate a 15-unit townhouse development. And I believe Mr. Johansson, you have some introductory comments.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. So good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This application proposes a 15-unit townhouse project, complete with rooftop patios and design elements that reflect emerging best practice urban design and building design incorporated into our new draft OCP or official community plan development permit guidelines, and also what staff are investigating as part of the zoning bylaw update. The application has incorporated the advisory design panels, site design and landscaping recommendations into the drawings that are attached to your package. And this includes updating the visitor parking spaces, enlarging private yard spaces at the north end, and including some additional landscaping and paving features to the central driveway. Staff are satisfied with the design updates and support the application moving forward. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this overview.
Thank you, Mr. Johansson. All right, motion is that this bylaw cited as the zoning bylaw 1996 number 2100 amendment number 176 2021 number 3173 be read a first and second time. Councillor Sturdivant, Councillor Wallace, any discussion on that? Councillor Pahal, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through the mayor to staff. I know they updated the site plans based on the recommendations from the advisory design panel. It could just be me, but the renderings don't seem to reflect that. If that happens to be the case, would it be able to be updated in time for the public hearing and third reading?
Yes, through the mayor to Councillor Pahal. I believe there's one of the renderings there doesn't have the new parking space on the south end yet. We'll make sure that they show that in detail at the public hearing.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sturdivant.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Johansson, for your presentation. Thank you, Councillor Pahal, for your question. As you pointed out, this has gone to the advisory design panel, and it was very well received. It's a good fit for our community, and there were some recommendations that were brought forward by the group, and they in turn were referred to the applicant, who has made adjustments in keeping with preferences from the group. So my compliments to Mr. Johansson in working with the developer and the advisory design panel to put together a very comprehensive and attractive development application. I would encourage all of my council colleagues to support the application for our community. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Okay, on to number C, 20040 to 20070 53A Avenue and 20041 to 20071 53 Avenue. Bylaw 3174, Official Community Plan Amendment number 15, OCP 03-21. I believe Mr. Johansson, you have some comments for this as well.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This proposed application for a 6-story, 113-unit apartment building requires an OCP amendment along with the rezoning and development permit, as the proposed units or the density in terms of units per acre is higher than the current OCP. That being said, the proposed new OCP land use for this area of low-rise residential is proposed to be a 2.1 FAR, and this application is proposing a FAR of 2.1 and a maximum building height of 6 stories. Again, something that's proposed in the new draft OCP. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, first and second reading of bylaw to amend City of Langley official community bylaw, plan bylaw in order to incorporate provisions for higher density, low-rise residential uses at the properties addressed 20040 to 20070 53A Avenue and 20041 to 20071 53 Avenue. That the bylaw cited as the City of Langley official community plan bylaw 2005, number 2600, amendment number 15, 2021, number 3174 be read a first and second time. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sturdivant, Councillor James. Any further discussion on that or questions for staff? Go ahead, Councillor Sturdivant.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, a very attractive building application. And yeah, my compliments to the Development Services team. They've been working really hard to pull together all of these applications that we've been receiving. It's no secret that Langley City is a place to be, and we're seeing a lot of development applications keeping us busy. My compliments to the advisory design panel for being very thorough, and they certainly were with this one as well. A number of recommendations brought forward. Again, the developer very cooperative, eager to do business in the City of Langley. I think we've got a really good fit with a very attractive building through this application. I would recommend that my council colleagues support it in full. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Okay, anyone else? Call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Okay, on to OCP Amendment Bylaw number 3174, Public Consultation and Adoption Requirements. Mr. Johansson, do you have any comments before we begin?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just very briefly, this is a report recommending referral to our 4 external agencies, the Kwantlen First Nation, Metro Vancouver, School District 35, and TransLink, consistent with our practices and approaches for these types of applications. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just realized I didn't mute myself. Okay, motion forward is that Council 1 direct staff to send copies of the official community plan amendment bylaw number 3174 20040 to 20070 53A Avenue and 20041 to 20071 53 Avenue to the following organizations and authorities for consultation prior to holding a public hearing on July 26, 2021, in consideration of the requirements set out in Section 475 of the Local Government Act. Kwantlen First Nation, Metro Vancouver, School District number 35, and TransLink. And 2, consider official community plan amendment bylaw number 3174 in conjunction with the 2021 to 2025 financial plan bylaw number 3151 and the regional liquid and solid waste management plans in accordance with Section 4773 of the Local Government Act. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Albrecht, Councillor Sturtevant, any discussion on that? See none, call the vote. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Sturtevant.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is kind of a matter of courtesy to include more voices and get some fresh eyes on what we're doing, and I welcome this. So I think that it's very timely, and I just wanted to say so. Thank you very much.
Sorry, hitting the wrong buttons here. Thank you. Okay, call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. All right, on to bylaw 3175, zoning amendment number 177, RZ03-21, and development permit number DP04-21. And I believe Mr. Johansson, again, you have some introductory comments.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I think everyone knows what the application is about, but I just wanted to point out that on this one, the applicant has agreed to provide a pretty substantial dedication to the city on the east side to provide about half the width of an eventual 8-meter wide pedestrian and cycle accessible greenway connection between 53A Avenue and 53 Avenue. And the intent of that is to improve the walkability of the neighborhood as it redevelops. This area we like to call the elbow because it's got a continuous series of lots from 201A over to 200th and up to Michaud. So if you're a pedestrian, you have to sort of walk the long way around. So this is a great opportunity to start one half of that greenway. And we thank the applicant for agreeing to that substantial dedication. And the application was reviewed by the advisory design panel, and the applicant has incorporated the building and site design and landscape and recommendations. And previously, the application didn't have any parking variances, and they were parked according to the current bylaw. Now, in response to the ADP felt that perhaps the top deck needed a little bit more landscaping and trees and shade and that sort of thing. So the thought was that they could probably look at a relatively minor visitor parking variance to drop some of those spaces and fill them with landscaping and trees so that top deck parking area isn't so full of asphalt, so to speak. So staff support that approach as the proposed visitor parking rate is still above what we're contemplating for a new zoning bylaw. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about that. Great,
thank you. All right, so it's the first and second reading of a bylaw to rezone the properties located at 20040 to 20070 53A Avenue and 20041 to 20071 53 Avenue from the RS1 single family residential zone to the CD 76 comprehensive development zone to accommodate a 6-story, 113-unit apartment development. Motion is that the bylaw cited as the zoning bylaw 1996, number 2100, amendment number 177, 2021, number 3175, be read a first and second time. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sturtevant, Councillor Wallace, any discussion on this? Councillor Sturtevant.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mrs. Johansson, for your presentation. Yeah, this is an especially worthwhile application. I was very much encouraged by the applicant. It was especially refreshing in how cooperative they were and wanting to accommodate not just the development application, but the community at large with the walkway that's being proposed, giving students quicker and easy access to the school nearby. So I just wanted to say that this particular application was very refreshing in how cooperative they were and working with the recommendations of the advisory design panel. So I think in years to come, we'll look at this time as being pivotal in how we have density to the downtown core and encourage SkyTrain to our community. I encourage my council colleagues to support this in full. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? No one opposed, of course. And we move on to the next bylaw. All right, bylaw 3163, officials community plan amendment number 13, OCP 01-21, third reading of a bylaw to amend the official community plan bylaw to incorporate provisions for high density mixed use development and amend the land use designation of the subject property 20059 Fraser Highway from the current designation of service commercial to transit orientated core. That the bylaw cited as the City of Langley official community plan bylaw 2005, number 2600, amendment number 13, 2021, number 3163 be read a third time. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sturtevant, Councillor Martin, any discussion on this? Call the vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries. All right, last bylaw 3164, zoning amendment number 173 RZ01-21 and development permit number DP02-21. Third reading of a bylaw to rezone property located at 20059 Fraser Highway from the C2 service commercial zone to the CD73 comprehensive development zone to accommodate a 6-story 98-unit apartment and a 390 square meter commercial mixed use development. That the bylaw cited as a zoning bylaw 1996, number 2100, amendment number 173, 2021, number 3164 be read a third time. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sturtevant, Councillor Hall. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and to staff. In other apartment projects that's come forward recently, we've started looking at the combined washer, dryer, storage, bike parking. This one included. This one was unfortunately not caught where some of the washing machines are in the back of the storage. So it would make it basically unusable for bike and storage and washing. So while the development permit, of course, I'm in favor of, will staff be working with this applicant to ensure that these are usable spaces?
Yes, through the mayor to Councillor Bahal. Yes, thank you for raising that. That's something that we're ensuring with all the applications coming forward, that those spaces are going to be usable for wash and dryer and storage, including bicycles.
Thank you.
All right, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. All right, on to administrative reports, 2022 Rcmp approval in principle. I believe Mr. Light is going to speak to this.
I have a point of order.
Yes.
Last year, in the same month in June, You declared a conflict of interest as you're employed by the RCMP.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering, has something changed that we're not aware of?
Nope. You received the letter like everybody else did. I forwarded you the information when you contested this last time at council. And you all received a notice from the RCMP, from my employer, stating that there is no conflict of interest and I'm on a leave without pay for 4 years. And that was on the April 24th council meeting. So that applies to this as well.
Okay, well, I don't know.
There is no conflict of interest. I don't work for the RCMP and I'm on leave without pay.
Okay.
Okay,
Go ahead, Mr. Light.
Madam Mayor, members of council. So this is just a standard report that comes every year. The federal government, in order to plan for their 10% that they pay towards our RCMP members, need to know if we're adding membership or the costs that their 10% will relate to. So we provide them a letter every year as a pre-planning. We can obviously make changes when we do our own budget back in later in this year and in the beginning of next year when we adopt our 2022 budget. So this is really just in order to accommodate the federal government.
Great, thank you, Mr. Light. The motion forward is that council authorize a letter of approval in principle be sent to the Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General to maintain the detachment strength at 51.35 members and increase the 100% RCMP budget by $260,434 for an RCMP total budget cap of $11,586,126. Can I get a mover and a seconder to that, please? Councillor Stortaboom, do I have another? Councillor Bahal. Okay, any further discussion on that? Councillor Bahal, you had your hand raised. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just going to read a motion here and see if there's a seconder. So my motion is to propose postponing the pending, so I'll actually be clear. So it's to postpone the pending motion until after council meets with the new officer in charge of the Langley detachment of the RCMP to discuss how the Langley detachment's proposed budget and internal plans align with Langley City's interim strategic goal to create new protective supportive services.
Does somebody want to second that motion? Councillor Wallace? Go ahead. Do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. And I think the point for this is pretty clear in the motion, but I know that we've been asked to meet with the OIC and the past one for many years just to discuss our priorities as it relates to community safety. Community safety is always identified as the top concern for our municipality, and this would be the second year where we've asked to meet with the RCMP, and unfortunately we haven't had that fulsome discussion. So I'd just like to have that fulsome discussion, and I think postponing this a meeting or two isn't going to be the end of the world. So thank you very much.
Can I get staff clarification on that? Because I believe, Mr. Light, did you want to clarify that? Because I believe the Treasury has to do it by a certain time. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually they originally wanted us to have this by the 15th of June, but we only got the information on the 7th. So they did extend it to the 30th of June. We could ask for a further extension in our particular situation to July 15th, but I'm not sure when the new OIC will be available to meet with council. So this is really about the 10% that the feds are providing, and we can make changes to it after the fact, but at this point, this is the deadlines that they're asking us to adhere to.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Councillor Stortaboom, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Bahal, for your contribution, and I appreciate where you're coming from. I guess my question is to Mr. Light, if it's not too much trouble. As the years have progressed and the budgets increased for RCMP policing services, there's been a lot of numbers around what the percentage of our total budget is for policing services in the different reports that I've seen. They seem to fluctuate around 25–30%. Can you give me a clear indication of where this would put us in relationship to the RCMP and our overall budget?
So it is around 41% that of property taxes that are funded by police and services. But over overall budget, it would be a lesser amount. I don't have that in front of me directly at this point, but I'm showing 41% of our tax revenue that we raise is for property taxes, is for policing services, but we do get funding for other things, water, sewer, garbage, etc. So I can come back to council with that information if that would be possible.
Yeah, thank you. Always good to know where we're at, especially with expenses. 41% is higher than I thought it was, but I sure appreciate that update. Thank you very much, Mr. Light, and thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, any other comments on the amendment from anyone else? But I can say I will be voting against it. It's in principle, and that amount can be changed at any time. So I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And opposed. So what would the process be from here, Darren? Because we're already late. We're going to ask for an extension. So what would the process be?
So we'll have to determine when our new OIC is available to meet with council, and then get back to the E-Division on how we can respond to their request.
And this budget's already been made. So quite honestly, talking to the OIC is going to be the next budget, not this budget. So to make any changes. So, okay, so I'll call the vote on the original motion with the amendment. All those in favor?
Just a point of order. I think a postponement motion means we don't actually vote on the main motion.
Okay.
But you may want to clarify that.
Do we even have a date that we're postponing it to?
Until after we meet the OIC. So this is
Ms.
a.
Kenny, do we have to have a date for the postponement?
Madam Mayor, may I speak?
Yep, please do.
Yes, so basically this would be considered a deferral motion, and the deferral is until a certain event has happened, which is to meet with the OIC. So that would be the.
Okay. Okay. All right, Mr. Chung, did you have a comment? You came online.
Madam Mayor, I just want to inform council that I will make a call to the Langley Rcmp detachment to make arrangement for council to meet with the new OIC to discuss this matter. That's all I was going to say.
Okay. Beautiful. And do we have a date when he's coming?
To Madam Mayor, no, I just heard of this tonight, so I will make the call afterwards.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, moving on then. Thank you, Mr. Light. All right, 2020 Strategic Community Investment Fund Traffic Fine Revenue Sharing. Mr. Light, you're up again. Oh, here's some of our money back.
Yeah, again, this is a report just to demonstrate to the province that we are communicating to our public that we did receive funding from the province for the traffic fine revenue sharing for the city. And in 2020, we received $600,619 of traffic fine revenue sharing.
Thank you. All right, motion is that the city of Langley acknowledge the receipt of $600,619 from the provincial government to help fund the salary of 3 RCMP officers and fund the city's share of Green Timber's E-Division building from the traffic fine revenue received in 2020. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Bahal, Councillor Stordeboom. Any further discussion on that? No? Okay, call the vote. All those in favor? And that carries. All right, 2020 Councillor Remuneration and Statement of Financial Information. Mr. Light, do you have another comment on this as well, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of council, we have to on an annual basis report the council remuneration expenses, as well as the statement of financial information that shows the employees that we have paid over $75,000 and also the suppliers that we have contributed towards as well. So there's a schedule of both of those in these documents.
Okay, great. So we have a motion that the report on council remuneration and expenses as required by section 168 of the community charter be adopted. And 2, that the statement of financial information as required by the Financial Information Act be adopted. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Albert, Councillor Sturdivant, any further discussion on that? Call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that carries. All right, we have a development application timeline extension request. And I believe Mr. Johansson, you're back up again, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. This report has been brought forward to consider extending the time limits for the completion of in-stream development applications. You might recall that last year, Council granted an extension request for 7 applications, primarily due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the physical distancing requirements at the time that placed some uncertainty in terms of the completion of these applications. That being said, in the meantime, 4 of these have been since completed, and 3 of those remain. We've been approached by the 3 developers with these in-stream applications with a request to extend the time limits in Council Policy DS10. And I also note that with all 3 of these applications, the applicants have made substantial progress in working towards completion. And we're anticipating that those bylaws will be able to come back to council by year end. And through that, staff are recommending that these 3 applications be extended for another 6 months. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, and the motion forward is that council approve a further 6-month time limit extension to December 29, 2021 for development application RZ02-17 DP02-17 Whitetail Homes, OCP 01-18 RZ07-18 Billiard Architecture, and RZ1818 DP1918 Andrew Chung Architects Incorporated. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sturdivant, Councillor Wallace, any discussion on that? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? And that carries. All right, on to Mayor's Gala, Rcmp response. Motion that council receive the report for information. Mover and a seconder. Councillor Albrecht, Councillor Martin. Any discussion? Councillor Martin? No, that was just a seconding. Okay, any other? Councillor Sturdivant?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate the questions that were presented. Unfortunately, I don't think that we're getting the answers that we were hoping for. I think this is about as far as we're going to get, to tell you the truth. I guess privacy trumps transparency, even when, you know, it's an organization that's taking 41% of all of our property taxes. So that's just the way it is. And I guess it's time to move on. It is kind of disconcerting, some of the wording that was used in the response, but there's no point in bringing it any further, in my opinion. So that's the name of that tune. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor of receiving it? Any opposed? Moving on. All right. New and unfinished business. We have some new business. Motion to hold a closed meeting. An additional item has been requested to be added to the closed meeting agenda by staff. Accordingly, I'm adding the appropriate section reference to the motion that was published on the agenda. The motion now reads as follows. That the council meeting immediately following this meeting be closed to the public as the subject matter being considered relates to items which comply with the following closed meeting criteria specified in section 90 of the community charter. 1, a part of a council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is one or more of the following. E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of lands or improvements if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality. 2, a part of council meeting must be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to one or more of the following. The consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and a provincial government or the federal government or both, or between a provincial government or the federal government or both, and a third party. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Wallace, Councillor Pahal, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so motion that the meeting adjourn. I need a mover and a seconder, please. James and Hall, all those in favor. All right, well, thanks for coming out to the regular